What's going on, guys? Mr. Jones once again. All right, today we're going to talk about this new task. It's not a new task, this is going to be some review, but I'm going to go over this problem. This problem isn't actually in the task. This problem is from a previous task, but then you're going to do the 8 or 9 problems just like this, okay? So, in the task, it says identify attributes of functions from their graphs. Basically, I want you to find the features of all the functions. And there's a whole bunch of graphs that look like this. There's a whole bunch of different ones. But we're going to go through all the vocab. This is actually a really good review for the test. So make sure if you don't have any notes on this, you really should. And you should take notes on what I'm going to talk about today. All right, so if you look at this graph, the very first thing I want to talk about is a domain. You can go in any order you want, but this is the domain. The domain is all possible x values, right? So we know this is, I'm going to write that actually in red. This is all my x values. Okay, so all x values. So x goes left to right. This is my x-axis. Okay, so all the x values, as far left as I can go, is right here. Hopefully you'll notice my graph doesn't go any more left than -3. So the lowest x value is -3. Okay, this solid dot that you see, and I'm going to keep it blue, but this is a solid dot. That means that I'm going to use a bracket. And it also means that my graph is actually, that -3, the point right there is actually included. So that's whenever you use a bracket. Okay, then you're going to go all the way to the right side of the x values. And this right here at 4 is as far right as my graph goes. That's the biggest x value. The only difference is I have an open dot. So notice that the dot there is open. If you can't tell it's open, it means it looks like that. It's not filled in. And that means you use a parenthesis. Parenthesis just means you're not actually including 4 in your domain. It's everything until you get to 4. All right. Range, that's, I guess you can say, the opposite of domain. Those are all my y values. We'll give this one a green. Y values. Oop. Okay. And that's how up and down. So this is my y-axis, y-axis. And that means how low on this axis do you go? Well, the lowest value is right here, right? You think about it, right? This is as low as my graph goes. So that's a y value of 0. And since I have an open dot right there, we're looking at this point. It's the lowest point on my whole graph. And it's open. Then we know to put a parenthesis there. Okay. Now the highest value on my graph is right here. My graph doesn't go any higher than that, and that's at the 4. And that dot was closed. I kind of messed that up, but that one was closed. So we know that one's going to be a bracket. All right. Now increasing and decreasing, you're going to be looking at x values, okay? Increasing and decreasing. We'll start with increasing. We're looking at x values whenever we give the answer, but increasing literally means that your graph is going up uphill. So first and foremost, we always read our graph left to right, always, always, always. So as we look at our graph, we're going from left to right. So as I go along my graph from left to right, and we start right here, right? We start right here. As I move in this direction, is my graph going uphill? Well, as I go in this direction, my graph is going uphill. And it stops right here at the peak, right? So what x values is that happening at, right? Well, I start here, okay, start here, and then I end here. And so what are those x values? I'm increasing from -3. I'm just going to put -3 to, what is it, 1. Okay. You can write it like this. If you wrote -3, 1, honestly, don't even think it matters. I think if you just let me know that from -3 to 1, you're increasing. Now, decreasing is almost the exact same thing, but it's where is your graph going downhill? Okay, we can all see that the graph is going downhill right here, right? So it starts going downhill and ends going downhill. But what are the x values there? So an x value of 1 and an x value of 4. Between 1 and 4, as I read my graph from left to right, my graph is decreasing. Okay, so you can write it like that, or you can say from 1 to 4, I guess. I don't think that the parentheses and brackets are necessary here. All right. Now I know my graph's getting all jumbled up. So let's do this. Boom. We'll put a new graph. Look at that. Ooh, let's make it a little bit smaller. That was almost slick, right? All right, now domain range increasing, decreasing. The only thing we have left besides intercepts is minimum and maximum. Okay, maximum. And by the way, let's just do this. For increasing and decreasing, you're giving your answer, you're giving x value answers, and this one's x value answers. Range, you gave y value answers. Max, you're going to give y value answers. And minimum, you're going to give y value answers. Maximum and minimum is literally how high up and how down low does your graph go. So what's the highest y value? Okay, we already established that this is the highest y value. And so our max is 4. Okay, the high end of your range is your max. Okay, 4. Those numbers match, right? All right, your minimum, I guess we'll put that in purple. That's how low does your graph go. This is the lowest point on the graph. What y value is that? 0. That also matches this. So your minimum and your maximum should be the low end and the high end of your range, and they always match. So if you know your range and you got that right, you automatically should know what these are. All right, and then intercepts is the last one. Where do you cross the x or y axis? Okay, this is tricky because you're not actually crossing there because it has an open dot. Okay, but for the sake of argument, if this was a closed dot, we would have an intercept there. Okay, we technically don't, but if we did, if it was closed, then we can say that my x value is 4 when my y value is 0. So there's one intercept. And the other intercept's about right here. So you be the judge what you think that is. Okay, I look at that and say, okay, I'm between the 3 and the 4, but I'm definitely closer to the 3. So maybe we can say my x value is 0 and my y value is, I don't know, 3.3. I don't know. This number could just be something close to that. All right, and there we go. So there's all 8 things that I want you guys to do. Please take note, an open dot equals parentheses. And a closed dot, right, equals brackets. Okay, and infinity always fits in this category. So if you have infinity at all, it's always the same thing as open dot because you never can reach infinity. So here's some more stuff you can make sure to put in your notes. Any other questions, just ask. Have a good one, guys.